University. And my role is really on sustainability education. So I'm the Sustainable Education Assistant. So my work is all around how do we make sustainability a part of every student learning at the university. And I work on this primarily through the framework of the Responsible Futures program, which I will be talking about today. Just wanted to check, is my screen, can you see my presentation or no?
I don't see it. Can
Okay.
anyone tell me whether they can see it? Because I felt that maybe my system is slightly playing up now.
I'm not seeing it here.
No, so none of us see it.
No.
Oh, I think it's loading.
Yeah,
coming.
it's
Coming.
working. Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you can see it now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. So I know some of you might know Responsible Futures. You might be familiar with it. You might not. So I'll give a little bit of an overview of what the program is, and then I will go into more details around the work that I've been doing recently, which is about understanding what students think about sustainability education at the university, and yeah, what their views are, as well as also going in the end more into what we're doing on the staff side. So working to understand how confident and supported staff members feel in delivering sustainability education at the university. About Responsible Futures. So Responsible Futures is a change program and an accreditation that is supported and created by the charity Students Organizing for Sustainability. And this is active both in the UK and as well as internationally. So Responsible Futures is actually a program available both for UK institutions and international institutions. Responsible Futures uses a whole institution and partnership approach to embed sustainability in the formal curriculum, in the informal curriculum, as well as the subliminal curriculum at the university. In Exeter, we enrolled in the Responsible Futures program, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And since then, in last year, in 2024, Exeter, the Guild and the students' unions were awarded a joint Responsible Futures accreditation. And this was after a student-led audit. And Exeter University was the first Russell Group university to be accredited. Since then, since the accreditation last year, we've been working on implementing the audit recommendations ahead of a new audit in 2026. So the way that Responsible Futures work is that there is an audit every 2 years. I think, as I said, the program is quite interesting because of its holistic approach to embedding sustainability. It's not just, and this is in various ways. So it does consider sustainability holistically, including environmental and social justice and economic sustainability. On top of this, it's also really promoting a whole institution approach. So that means that sustainability and sustainability education are integrated into the learning the formal learning, so the teaching in the classroom, as well as the subliminal education, so the values that students receive and when they come to the university. And informal education, so extracurricular activities such as student groups and societies, or guest talks, or other events that might be happening at the university. And I think, oh, can you see the slide?
Yes, it says holistic whole institution change, and it's the slide number 4.
Is it empty apart from that?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. I hope it loads. Well, I hope it is loading, but yeah. Yeah, the other way. So I think to appreciate like how Responsible Futures work as a program and accreditation, and to really understand the way that it approaches sustainability education embeddedness, is important to look at the different sections and criteria in the accreditation framework. Yeah, they were on the slide, but for some reason it's not showing. So there's 8 different sections and 50 total criteria for accreditation. So there's quite many different areas. But what I think is really that Responsible Futures is first a change-making program, and second, an accreditation scheme. And this is because each of the criteria, it relates to the actions that we should be taking within the institution to advance that change that we want to see.
Sarah,
yeah.
Can I interrupt you for a second? People are saying that it may be animation, and if you click, it might appear, because if they, yeah. So if
nice.
I think, yeah, there might be yeah. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So the first section is baselines and benchmarks, which is about really understanding, mapping, and monitoring the current embeddedness of sustainability in education at Exeter. So this means activities such as curriculum mapping, developing a fuller understanding of sustainability inclusion in teaching, and the support available for staff to deliver sustainability education. And this is also a way to monitor progress over time and impact, and through that longitudinal analysis of our survey results. Partnership, the second section is partnership and planning, which is about ensuring that we are really taking a partnership approach. A strength point of Responsible Futures is that it delivers sustainability education through a partnership approach, and that means creating a collaboration between the institutions and the student unions. So I mentioned before that we received a joint accreditation with the student unions, as well as also a collaboration between staff and students in co-creating and advancing sustainability education. And the third section is about leadership and strategy. So this is about having in place the governance and strategies that we need to advance sustainability education. Policy commitment is the fourth one, which is about also integrating it in the daily operations of the university policies, for example, inductions. Fifth is interventions. So this is about also the wider reach of our sustainability education at Exeter, and how we collaborate with external institutions or organizations as well as also the use of innovative pedagogical methods. And finally, actually not finally, the sixth one is impacts and outcomes. So this is really about that tracking of the short-term and long-term impacts of our initiatives on students, on staff, and the university community. And this is looking at, I think earlier in an earlier presentation, it was mentioned how students then maybe go into sustainability careers, and they really look back at their experience at Exeter and see how that led to their journey into sustainability. And finally, outreach is about how we communicate about the sustainability education activity that's going on at the university and raise its profile both internally and externally. So this is just to give an overview of how Responsible Futures acts as both a framework to collect evidence of our current sustainability education work at the university, but also how it supports us to advance change and enable it in targeted areas or overlooked areas. I will be now talking a bit more about how it really takes a collaborative and student-centered approach as well. So in Responsible Futures, as I said, students are really active participants in shaping their learning experience at the university. And they also hold their institution accountable. So in fact, I said earlier that we received accreditation after a student-led audit in 2024. And one of the ways in which Responsible Futures work is that to achieve accreditation every 2 years, there needs to be a student-led audit. And this means that really students are put in the driver's seat. They're really driving the practices of holding their institution accountable, of evaluating all the different activities that the university is doing. And on top of this, we also, before accreditation and after accreditation, we empower students by to shape their learning experience by listening to what they have to say about what they want from their education experience at Exeter, and also making sure that they're included in the working group. And to do that, we employ students because we do really recognize and value their contributions, and we want any student to have access to that opportunity of contributing to this work. So from just like the student-led audit, so this was in 2024, you can see the image of 10 student auditors that were that went through all the evidence that we had collected and evaluated it critically. They received training from Responsible Futures on how to do that. And then for 2 days, they really were paid for their time to basically go through the evidence and critically evaluate it, leaving feedback and recommendations for the university on what to improve and what to do moving forward. And these experiences has proven to be like very positive for students as well, and also to make them feel more connected to their institution, to really see the work that is going on behind the scenes. And this student, this is a testimonial from a student auditor that I will read. And it says that as an auditor, I did find the ability to look through evidence and evaluate the university's sustainability contribution to be vital to truly understanding perspectives outside the student experience. The experience provided by SOS and the University of Exeter Responsible Futures team has been something that I've truly enjoyed. By being able to look outside of the student perspectives, I was surprised to learn a lot more about what goes on behind the image of the university. I was also surprised by the ability to assess my own skills and apply them to analysis in an efficient manner. So really, there is an element of also developing skills that are needed in the also outside of university and in the real world. Really, the critical thinking and evaluation that goes on when students are there and they're evaluating the validity of information and understanding considering the context as well of the evidence that is provided. And this is another testimonial from another student that said that as a student auditor for the Responsible Futures team, I developed skills in both auditing and interviewing within a comfortable and professional environment. Working with students organizing for sustainability, I improved my knowledge of the links between the importance of sustainability and education at the University of Exeter. This extended past the level of being a student with simple tools and guidance provided by the SOS UK advisor. This allowed me to hold the university accountable for sustainable practices and education through open and honest discussions, which I now deem valuable to my whole university experience. The experience is something I will not only repeat, but something that I would like to be more deeply involved in. I cannot recommend it enough. Beth from Responsible Futures and Marta from SOS UK, thank you for giving me this experience and passing along your knowledge and work. I look forward to applying this in the future. So yeah, this was another really positive testimonial from a student that graduated after the audit. I think it's really empowering for students to be put in that position. And at the same time, for us as an institution, it's that student scrutiny is very valuable, and it does really help us to advance the work we do and to continue really challenges the boundary of sustainability education that we deliver. Going forward to the work that I've been doing more recently, so post-accreditation, in understanding better the context of the university and developing a fuller understanding of students' perspectives and views of the education that they're receiving at the university. This is you can see here an image from a recent intern and that worked on a survey for students that aim to understand the student attitudes, perspectives on sustainability education at the university. This is also relating to one of the criteria that I showed earlier and the area of baselines and benchmarks in the Responsible Futures framework. And a group of 6 students were employed to lead on this survey, and they conducted the survey in person in last term, both in the Stratton campus, St. Luke's, and the Penryn campus in Cornwall. In total, they surveyed and engaged in conversations 260 students. And because they went in person to do the surveying, This also meant that the sample was more random than if you asked like just students through an email to fill the survey. And it allowed us to have like a more diverse group of students responding to the survey, rather than just people who were maybe interested already in sustainability or from a specific subject. And something that I think was very valuable as well was that by going in person, they engage in conversations with students. And some of the things that they said is that they really enjoyed that, and also that there were meaningful insights coming just from the conversations they were having with students that go beyond what can be captured by a survey form. So what we asked them, so what we were investigating with the survey is whether students at the University of Exeter want to learn about sustainability, and whether at the moment they're currently receiving quality sustainability education. Sorry for the typo on the slide. And what we are doing well as an institution, and what else can we do, and what can we improve. And relating to the question of do students at the university want to learn about sustainability, we found that 96% of students at the university value sustainability education. And this is like a huge number, and it is higher than national averages. And it really shows that the overwhelming majority of students think that learning about sustainability at the university is important, with 65% of them saying that it was very important, and 31% saying it was somewhat important. And this also represents an increase from previous surveys that we've done at the university, showing that there is a growing prioritization and recognition of sustainability skills in the student population at Exeter. And it's also worth to say that the student interest in sustainability education was quite similar across faculties. There wasn't much variation in these percentages across the three faculties at the university. And I think that from the insights and from what students expressed in the survey, there really was a future-oriented, practical understanding and practical considerations, and for why is it important to them to learn about sustainability. I think the word future was actually the most featured word in the responses. And that's really, I think it's really showing how students want to be equipped and like empowered to have the skills and knowledge that they will need to be agents of positive change in their personal lives, in the workplace, and as active citizens. Many students really emphasized the role that universities play in preparing graduates to respond to urgent global challenges, and that they want to receive sustainability education so that they can participate in shaping the future of the planet and society, and to have a say in it. And their comments really showed a strong sense of urgency, a strong sense of responsibility, and a desire to make a positive impact on the world. Students expressed that learning about sustainability is not just I guess, an optional, it's essential to deal with the crisis that we're seeing right now, and we will see in the future, and that will affect their lives and are already affecting their lives. And even when students didn't express ethical considerations, they still saw sustainability skills as important for career readiness and their future employability, and they recognized the increasingly important role that sustainability plays in organizations and the changing regulatory landscape. And another common thread was the recognition that sustainability education is also important for their personal well-being and for collective well-being. Because the climate emergency and ecological emergency are affecting their mental health. And here I've included some quotes from the survey responses. Some of the things that students said were that sustainability education was important because this way young people will be empowered to play an active role in contributing to a more sustainable society by addressing critical issues of our time, such as the climate crisis. And a student said that it was for her or their well-being, their community well-being, as well as the well-being of future generations on Earth. And critically, someone said the climate change is on the horizon and it's up to this current generation to make change. And this really shows that sense of responsibility of wanting to be empowered to be able to act and to be given those the necessary skills, knowledge, and values to do that. And I think this was reflected also in their answers relating to what they wanted to learn about when we asked about which aspects they were most interested in. They expressed that they were especially keen to learn about strategies and actions to respond to the climate and nature crisis, as well as the understanding of the scientific causes and impacts of climate change and biodiversity loss. And the interdisciplinary connections and applications in their subjects of study. So something that came through and that was very evident was that students were interested in knowing how sustainability relates to their disciplines and other issues. So that intersectionality element. And when we asked about how they would like sustainability to be integrated in their curriculum, it's interesting to see that the desire for sustainability education to be present in both optional and core modules was evident from the responses. The majority of students said optional modules is something they preferred, but quite a significant amount of students actually recognized the shortcomings in delivering sustainability education only through optional modules. For example, a student said that sustainable education is there if you want it, but it's not in the core modules. So it's not necessarily onboarding people to the sustainable or green work sectors. So really, I think compared to previous surveys that we've done, there were more students that showed an understanding of the challenges in delivering sustainability only through optional modules and the shortcomings of that. And there was also an interest in project-based learning, so more practical, real-world experiential learning. And when we looked at whether students, the sustainability education that they're currently receiving, there was a significant variation in the depth and extent of integration of sustainability in the curriculum. With, for example, 36% of students saying that it was heavily integrated, but then 20% of students, for example, saying that it was only mentioned. So there is a great variation across subjects, disciplines, and programs of studies. We also noticed that it was more likely to be integrated in courses from the Faculty of Environment, Science and Economy, although it was mostly environmental sustainability that was taught in those subjects, and in more generally as well. It was more common that students came across environmental sustainability rather than the social aspects, like social justice and climate justice. But very positively, students, when we asked about whether they think that their understanding of sustainability improved during their time at university, a large amount of students said that it had improved significantly or to some extent. Also, they really recognized the value of the sustainability education that they were receiving. With 66% of students believing that they what they learned will be helpful in their future careers, which shows that when students receive sustainability education at our university, this is very impactful, and they recognize the quality of education they're receiving. And it's also clear from the survey responses that they really recognize and appreciated the efforts of educators that were integrating sustainability in their course, and they mentioned various instances of good sustainability education that they received.
Looking at the time, is it okay to finish maybe in 5 minutes? I don't want you to hurry, but then there are a few questions in the chat and we can discuss. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. And something else that was just interesting from this slide is that when we asked about the different learning methods and opportunities through which they their sustainability knowledge had increased at the university, the most selected method was through sustainability-focused modules, and this was followed by informal conversations with peers and staff, and events, guest lectures, workshops, and fairs. And I think really this demonstrates the value of having integrating sustainability both in the formal education and in the informal education, and this really validates that holistic approach. Just to sum up, I think these are just a few insights from the survey that we did. And we are looking also to make the findings more widely available to staff and at the university. But I think overall, it's evident that students recognize sustainability education as critical to build a healthy, livable, and just future that they need and that they want. And they don't see it as an optional anymore, but they see it as essential. And they value discipline-relevant sustainability education that is also practical, action-oriented, and shows them and teaches them how behaviors and strategies that they can enact in their personal lives, careers, and more generally. finally, I think also the understanding of informal and social learning spaces and their importance for sustainability education, and that formal and informal education are both important and complementary. So this is to wrap up the idea, the work around understanding what students want and what they think, and their views around sustainability education at the university, which I think is really important when, as educators, we are trying to embed sustainability in what we do. And at the same time, another line of work is also on then taking these insights and really developing appropriate responses and implementing these insights. And something that I've been working on, and that I think is quite in line with these findings, is the rolling out of the Climate Fest workshop at the university. So this is a type of interactive, collaborative workshop that uses a head, heart, and hands approach. So that means that it's delivering knowledge, but also allowing space for emotions, and then looking at the practical, action-oriented learning as well. And I think this is in line with students' desire for a sustainability education that empowers them and that keeps them with both the scientific knowledge of the climate and ecological crisis, but also importantly delivers and education on the practical strategies to respond to the emergency and that they can do. And something about the Climate Fest workshop is that it really leaves participants feeling empowered and motivated to act.
Yeah. And Sarah, looking at time, is it okay to just quickly go through the next slides or just share that with the people in the chat? Is that okay?
Yeah, this is the last thing. Yeah, yeah, just to wrap up, yeah, if anyone was interested in knowing more about the Climate Fest workshop and how it works, and in exploring this as an opportunity, then I'd be happy to chat about that. And just the final thing was that this is the final slide. And this is on just like that. I'm also interested in developing a better understanding of how confident and supported staff feels in delivering sustainability education. And to do this, I'm doing a survey, which is open at the moment. You can access it if you are a staff at the University of Exeter through this link here in the slide or the QR code. And this is really important to highlight any challenges that staff might be facing or opportunities and areas where professional development opportunities or additional support might be beneficial. So I would highly encourage you, if you are a staff member, to participate in this questionnaire. And yeah, that's everything. Happy to answer any question.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. I'm sorry if I came across as the one who's putting a little bit of pressure, but I thought it would be helpful for people to ask some of the questions. So if you can stop sharing and if you can send me the slides, I'll send it to all the participants in due course. There are some very interesting points and discussion going on in the chat. I'll try to bring up the questions and yeah. I think the question here is about embedding it in as Nick said, there is often the issue of whether you have a standalone sustainability module or do you have to embed it across all modules and assessment criteria. So there are pros and cons for that. So Nick, do you want to ask a specific question related to that? I hope you're here.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for Sarah's great presentation and interesting thoughts. It's great to see students taking the lead. You know, they are the future, and ultimately, we can't really push these ideas onto anyone, I think, but they have to be embraced. Personally, I was a program manager until recently on a level 7 course in the business school. I'm now a module leader on a number of modules in project management, and certainly for degree apprentices. So it's a very restrictive framework, and there's not much scope to change it. So many obstacles if you wanted to do that. But I have looked at the occupational standard, and sustainability is clearly explicitly stated as an objective, but there isn't a sustainability theme. And I've led about 6 modules now in the whole program. So I've got a very good take on what's there. And I personally lead a great deal on this. And in my own modules, I've redesigned them to include some of the things that Sarah's team are involved in, including the importance of sustainable project management, green project management principles, green economy standards, ethics, all that stuff that comes into it, understanding the impacts that your projects have on the wider world. And it's a battle, because despite the fact that I've done that, I've looked at my other colleagues' designs, and it's